All right, guys. We'll get going. Obviously, a lot of respect for our opponent we play this week. Really talented team, a team that's playing really good football, and certainly will be a great challenge for us. So, with that said, questions you got for me?
Matt, over the last few years, what's been the difference between Oklahoma State football and Iowa State football?
Geez, that's probably a great question. I don't know if I'd have to probably really think about it, but I just think for us, the respect factor we have for, Coach Gundy, for their team, I think very talented in the skill positions, very talented on the defensive side of the football. I think have really become one of the standards on the defensive side of the football in our conference, and I think for years has been the standard on offense. So really well-coached football team that we have a lot of respect for.
What do you have to do to be successful on Saturday, I guess?
Yeah, I think for us, finding a rhythm, I think at times, when I reflect back to some of the games that we've played against them, it's, we've been able to find rhythm, but not maybe enough rhythm to be able to win the game. And, when we've been able to win the game, we've been able to find our rhythm long enough. So, I think both teams will be searching for that in this football game.
Just to piggyback on that, is rhythm synonymous with consistency, you think?
I don't think so, because I think you can have consistent performance and still maybe not find. The rhythm is so hard to get in college football because, man, you're asking 3 units to be playing almost at peak performance at the right time, and finding that I think is really hard and can be really challenging. And so, I think the situations of the game kind of dictate what that rhythm has to look like for you to be successful. So, I don't think so. I think consistency certainly is part of it, but I think the ability to find the right rhythm to be able to give you the most success for the game is really important, and I think both teams, when playing really well, have shown the ability to do that.
How did the offensive line as a whole and Hufford individually grade out on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought a really positive performance. All 5 guys graded out as winning for us in terms of, the grade sheet. But, Jared, not perfect, but, man, there was a lot of really great things that we saw from him. And I think really what we're excited about with Jared is just, the immediate growth that we saw. I think that's really hard to ask him to immediately go out to tackle and play. But, boy, he did a great job of it. And I think the best thing that he did was he was physical at the point of attack. So if he can continue to do those things and continue to improve, we'll be really excited to see where he's at.
I know you talked a little bit about it after the game, about how well you felt like he was playing, but could you go into it a little bit more? Because, making that choice to, sit Sean, who obviously has played a lot of football
Sure.
for you guys, couldn't have been easy, I imagine.
No, I don't think any of those are easy, especially when you have so much care and pride in the people that are playing for you. And yet, probably the guy that's the MVP of the game is probably Sean. Sean's down there helping Jared, and our offensive line is almost like an assistant coach during the game. And I think when you have that kind of buy-in value from your football team. And, I think that's what's really hard. It's hard about our society. It's certainly hard in football where you don't maybe get what you want, but you're doing what's in the best interest for the team. When you can have that buy-in from the top down, then I think it gives you a real chance. And, we're really fortunate that we have that kind of leadership from the top down that maybe sometimes you're not always getting what you directly want, or maybe that serves you the best, but what you're doing is in the best interest of the team for the time being.
Brock Purdy has been incredibly efficient this season, I guess, outside of the Iowa game. But you talk a lot about mastery of an offense. How close is he to mastering your offense, or I guess has he mastered your offense?
Yeah, I think we're always chasing mastery. I don't think that's ever a finality. I think that's a constant chase. And I think what you're seeing is veteranness. I think you're seeing poise, and I certainly think there's consistency there right now from him. And, I think, though, that's evolving, and I think you're challenged with that every week because the uniqueness of the defenses, and kind of like we were talking about, the how the game flows really, especially at the quarterback position, demands different mastery and different skills to start to show up. And so, there's just so much to that at the quarterback position. But I think Brock is continuing to grow and evolve, and just been really proud of his efficiency. And I think the word you used there is really good. He's been really efficient.
What's it say about him that he is able to be that efficient with so many different things coming at him?
Well, I think it says a lot about him. He's played a lot of football. I don't know how many starts, but I know Biener was talking to me a little bit about it, that there's a lot of starts that, Brock has been able to play and see different things. And, he's going to see a lot of different things this week again. This is, I think, one of the credits to Oklahoma State is they're so multiple and they give you so many variations in their look that it can be a real challenge to the quarterback. So, I just think that those are things that you hope a fourth-year senior that started a lot of football games, the evolution of him starts to find consistency in those areas.
You talked about their multiplicity. I'm curious what's allowed them to be so successful on third down and get off the field.
Yeah, I think it starts with them winning on first down. And, I think they're here you're talking about, man, there's so many guys on this defense. It's like, man, I feel like they've been there 15 years, on this defense. It's like names and numbers that it's like, geez. And, I think that allows them, you talk about mastery on the other side of it. I feel like there's a great sense of mastery of knowing exactly where they need to fit, where they need to be. And I think it allows them to have a ton of success. But I think when you really look at it, yes, their success shows up on third down, but getting teams into third and long situations, getting them into situations that were advantageous for their defense to be successful, they do a great job of that.
What will it take to get out of those negative yardage plays first, second down for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think probably efficiency. I think those are, we're talking about all the same things. It's not rocket science. I think you got to be efficient with the football. I think you got to do a great job of finding positive gains, and we're going to have to do a great job of finding some of that rhythm for us offensively.
Jalen Knoll had a pretty good game on Saturday, leading the team in receiving yards. I just was curious, what did you see from him in practice, and how does he build off of this win?
Yeah, I think Jalen, we've talked a lot about him even in the preseason. I think his January, February, March, April, May, June, and July have really allowed him to be very confident going into the season for a freshman. I think he's a guy that has continued to elevate his play in practice, which has allowed him to really get an opportunity when the opportunity came his way to kind of be the guy on Saturday night. He was able to really do a great job of taking advantage of that opportunity. And, I think the flow of the game, I think some of the situations allowed him to be a huge asset. And I think those are all positives because I think it gives us continued trust and his teammates continued trust around him as the season goes. And, I think Jalen's one of those really consistent, talented young guys in our football program. We're really excited about him.
Matt, how good was your linebacking core in that game on Saturday night?
Yeah, I really thought they were exceptional. I think there was a lot of stress on those guys in terms of horizontal football at times, as well as the ability as the game started going east and west in the third and fourth quarter, started going north and south, and we had to adjust a little bit. But, I really thought that group was exceptional.
Well, there's one play in particular. I remember Mike Rose, he's in space with a guy, really shifty guy. Guy makes a juke. He's twitches that way, but comes back and gets him. Big play if he doesn't do that. Is that learned instinct combined?
Yeah, I think Michael's worked so hard from an athleticism standpoint, who he is today compared to where he was as a freshman and sophomore in our program. And I think nobody has transformed his body and has worked as hard as what Mike Rose has done to kind of put himself in this position to be able to be 255 pounds and be able to play in space. And, you're talking Sam linebacker where you got to defend at times 3/4 of the field, to being in the box and having to be a box backer and have to play ISOs and you have to play downhill in the zone game. And so, I think Mike is just one of those unique talents that, I think sometimes everybody talks about the interceptions a year ago, and those are all great. But, man, as the coach, you're seeing a guy that he's got the ability at times to shut down half the field because of his athleticism, but also come into the box and be a real physical presence. I think that's what makes him really special.
Matt, the decision you made in 2018 kind of set the trajectory for the rest of, up to this date. Did you know back then, and I know what you yelled at me, you told me when you were running off the field, but did you, that game, did you know that you were actually finding the quarterback of the future, or was that just adrenaline coming from you?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we knew about Brock, even in fall camp that year in 18, is there was just this special quality that he brought to the table. I think, to me, and I've said this a lot, the freshmen that have come in here and been transformational players, they've had the ability to show up right away in fall camp. They know who they are. They have great confidence, and to me, they're not overwhelmed with the entirety of college football. And Brock, to be able to do that at the quarterback position, I think that's really special. And he showed that in fall camp to the point where I think, we got to the end of fall camp and there was I think there was a buzz about, man, this Brock Purdy's got something really special about him. And, obviously when Kyle goes down and, you're kind of meandering through that early part of the season of what's best for the team and trying to find the right rhythm. I think when he went in and performed the way he did, really kind of how he had practiced all fall camp and certainly in the early part of fall season practice, I think you knew there was something really special about, man, these are huge things for the future of our program, having one guy that can kind of do exactly what we'd like to do on offense.
Kind of along those lines, are high school kids better prepared to play right away today than they were, I don't know, however many years ago, a long time ago,
Yeah,
than you were maybe when you were coming out of high school?
I think physically, in a lot of ways, yes. I think that the evolution of strength programs, the evolution of, there's, the ability of bigger, faster, stronger at a young age, nutrition. I think the advancements in those areas that I see, man, my daughter in 8th grade and watching what their coaches are asking them to do. I just think that there's so much more knowledge and advancement from physical maturity and growth that some of that has certainly allowed young guys to come in. But I still think it comes down to the mental piece. In college football, everybody wants to build up physical. It's all mental. It's mentally, number one, can you handle adversity? Can you handle failure? Can you handle when things don't go well in practice and the ability to overcome that really fast? I think you have to have great confidence in yourself. The ability to not be intimidated and have enough courage to get better one day at a time. And, man, we take all of ourselves back. That's what college football is so tricky is, man, you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you're going through the evolution of growth as a human being, and you're trying to find out who you are, and let alone in this ultra-competitive environment where you're trying to play a sport and it demands your consistency, it demands your perfection of craft, and yet you're just trying to grow into an adult and be that way as a human. So I still think, back to your question, Randy, it really comes down to mentality. I think you have to mentally be that, and I don't think that's changed from when you were in high school to when I was in high school to when kids are in high school today. It's what's your upbringing, it's what do you stand for, what are your value systems, and and I think the more mature you are into those areas, the more ready you are to play in college football.
One more thing here on a totally different note. What's going to define the two teams that play in the Big 12 championship game? I'm not asking who they're going to be, obviously, but just define them.
Well, I think the biggest thing is the ability to overcome adversity. I think that probably more in this 2021 season is going to be defining of who is at the finish line, probably both in the conference races and the national races, as well as anybody. And I just think there's so much going on. There's been so much going on in the off season, the changes that are going on, coming off of COVID, all these things that are going on. I still think it's the team that can stay together, the team that's got the ability to overcome adversity and have the maturity to continue to grow and get better. And I think it'll be the teams that are playing the best at the end of the season that probably will be the last one standing.
Statistically, Spencer Sanders' numbers aren't eye-popping, yet they're 6-0. What type of challenges does he pose for a defense, especially with the experience that he brings?
Well, I think very similar to our quarterback, is there is great consistency in the way he's playing right now. He has got great understanding of the system, a lead athlete. He can make you pay fast with his feet, and maybe he's got the quickest release of any college quarterback in the country right now. The ability for him to get the ball out of his hands and know where that ball's going is exceptional. So, certainly presents an unbelievable challenge in terms of what we're doing. And then you put the nail on the head in terms of the guys around him. He's got really good players around him, and I think that's kind of what Oklahoma State's always done a great job of, putting great playmakers around their quarterback and allowing those quarterbacks to be efficient with the ball.
Matt, when top 10 teams come to Jack Trice, is there a different kind of buzz? Do you sense that? And do you preach to your guys maybe about the opportunity that's in front of them on Saturday?
Yeah, not really. I think we just kind of continue to try to take care of ourselves. I think that's been, really our MO. We've really tried to kind of hone in on on self-awareness and areas that we got to get better. And, there'll be big games, and whether this is a big game or not, there'll be one probably next week too, or the week after that. And so you just keep playing and, really don't worry about those things. You try to learn and grow from successes and failures, and then just try to be the best version of yourself each Saturday.
Isheem Young might be one of the most physical safeties I've watched on Saturdays. What stands out about him, and who would you compare him to from maybe years past that you've seen?
Yeah, I don't know if we've had anybody quite as physical as Isheem is, at least during my tenure here. But, I just think he is fearless. He's got this great power that he's got the ability to possess at the point of contact. And, I think that really does make him special. I do think one area that Isheem's really great at is he's got great anticipation. He really does an unbelievable job of being able to track the football. And, I think the position he plays allows that to happen freely. But I really think his ability to be where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there is exceptional. And I think that's really helped him allow the physical traits to show up.
And then I've noticed pregame over the years, you and Coach Gundy have maybe some of the longest midfield meetings.
Mm-hmm.
One, do you enjoy the coaches meeting pregame, and what do you and Coach Gundy tend to talk about, or what do you converse about in those, if you don't mind sharing a little bit?
Yeah, I enjoy his meetings before the game. I just, to me, I got a lot of respect for Coach Gundy. Again, I think what he's done, the consistency he's done it with, and I really think what he has stood for in terms of building a program, it's awesome. And I think he's got a great feel for this conference, and he's also got great wit. So, I appreciate what he stands for.
Coach, when you mentioned adversity, I thought about, you didn't have many penalties on Saturday, but I think you had a false start in that long drive.
Mm-hmm.
Overcame that. You had a hold at kind of a key point. I think you overcame that. But, early in the season, those kind of feel like backbreaking things, and yet you guys responded. How much better has your team, through going through so much, responding now to all that?
Yeah, I just think that's so much of that's part of growing, and I don't care what season it is or how it's going to be. Those are things that are going to happen, and from our ability to not only to respond to it, I think, you're right. We were second and 17 on Saturday night, and, that's Brock makes the play down the field. And, you got a freshman that makes a big-time catch. Brock makes a perfect throw, and you overcome it. And, as much as we want to be perfect, and I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face about winning in the margins and knowing that, the reality is bad things are going to happen. It's college football. It's going to happen. It happens in professional football. But can you respond to that? And do you have enough courage to respond to it? And do you have enough guys that, man, you don't get rattled when it does go wrong? That, to me, has been the biggest difference as we've grown, is I've seen us steady the ship a little bit, and I've seen our confidence grow of, hey, you know what, he's right. Things are going to go wrong. We got the ability to overcome it, and we're good enough to overcome it, and the ability for guys to stand up and make the plays to overcome it. So, I think as much as anything, that part is probably really rewarding to see our guys really buying into that, and the leadership of on the field really starting to take over.
To go back to your answer about the teams that'll make the title game will be the teams that overcome adversity, do you get the sense at the top of the league there's more adversity early in the season than most years? You guys have a couple losses. Baylor's lost. Oklahoma's had a high-profile quarterback change, and then even Oklahoma State, undefeated, but had some really close games early.
Man, I don't even know if it's just our league. I think you look around college football, isn't it everywhere? I don't know where it's not happening. And where it'll only continue to happen, to be honest with you. I think our year will only get crazier from every way, shape, and form. And, I think I felt like I saw that coming from a mile away in terms of 2021, and you come off a year where everybody's kind of in their hold up and everybody's under unique and different situations, and then, man, the world is exploding, and, you just got so much stuff going on. So I think we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg of where craziness looks like in college football, and, can you just keep your head down, keep improving, and, what it takes to be successful isn't changing. It's just the environment around college football that continues to evolve and change, and, if you can stay with your head down and keep improving, then I think you'll be where you need to be when you need to be there. Awesome. Thanks, guys. No, you want? Yeah.
Last week I talked to Mike Rose, and he mentioned this season seems like it's really been flying by. His whole career, it seems like it's been forever, but it's flown by at the same time. You talked to these seniors over the last 6 games here about enjoying these moments a little bit more because to be the last time on the field for some of these guys?
Man, really, I do. And, we talked a lot about that, even last Friday night before, the Kansas State game, knowing we're coming off a bye. And now, man, I know after the game was really the midway point, but I felt like that bye week was the midway point, and we're kind of on a downward sprint from here. And, when you got so many of these guys that you care about greatly, and, I think that this is going to fly by. We're going to be in January like that, and you want them to enjoy the time that they have together. And I do think, regardless of the winning, the losing, it is a really special group of human beings. And I think this group being together, guaranteed together, 6 more opportunities in 2 more months. Man, I think for them to enjoy each other and, continue to fight for each other. And I think that's what, I think it's hard to find unity in our world today, like true unity, the ability to put yourself, above others and kind of put your ass on the line for something. I think it's hard to find that anywhere. And, these guys get a chance to continue to do that. So it's a group that's really done that for a long time, and I appreciate them. So, yeah, we talk about that a lot. All right, guys, thanks.